Hi, good evening. I got a message from my father who had watched one of my videos, and he asked me whether I see a connection between my former life, in which I, as a pretty young adult, made the statement at some point that you can achieve anything, you know, if you just believe in it and you just go for it. And then being humbled, so to say, in the last 9 years. He asked me whether I think that there is an element of, did I cause the disease by being arrogant? Yeah. Is there any kind of, whether I see that, you know, whether I believe in that? And yeah, it's funny that I got this message because I'd just written down a few things which are basically the same thing. I wrote down for me as key points that yeah, sometimes there's almost a sense of shame repeating my stuff over and over again, and then sensing in myself I don't want to give too much detail because it's just the same stuff over and over again. So instead of telling in great detail, I just said life humbled me again. Boom. What is behind this life humbled me again? Well, I wrote down, you as a listener might at some point think, well, hey man, can you stop telling the same story over and over again? It's getting boring. Do something about it. I mean, how can you be stuck in the same place for so long? If you can't figure it out over so many years, it must be somehow your fault, no? You must have done something wrong, and therefore, no, you're in this predicament, no? You must somehow deserve it. Yeah, or created an identity around it, stuck in the story. Yeah, if I were in his shoes, I would. Well, I don't know if you find yourself in any of what I just said. But coming back to what my father asked me, that element, that question of guilt, so to say, of fault, that is a big one, I think. Because if you come from where I come from, thinking that I'm living in a friendly universe, and if I live my life, yeah, doing the best I can, yeah. If I do my best and I let life guide me, and then suddenly this comes along, that just raises fundamental questions, fundamental doubts. You know? And this thing about the guilt, I don't have any definite answer for that. But if I feel that I am truly fully responsible for this disease, on the one hand, I could say it is great to believe that, because if I caused it, then I also have the power to get myself out of it. But on the other hand, if I'm the sole reason for the onset, even, yeah, for the development of this disease, then all the responsibility is on me. You know? Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not clear on the subject. I can't really give you a very conclusive answer. And from experiences that I've had, it points to that there is something else that is bigger than me. Yeah. I didn't think I would, but why not? I just share two experiences I had. One is 2018. Out of nowhere, I received the sentence, this is going to continue until you stop wanting. And with my history of Vipassana meditation, that means anything, any kind of attachment, basically. And then exactly 1 year later, shortly before I was admitted to hospital, I was in a state of utter despair. The only way that I found to get a little bit of a break from the constant heart beating. I'd gotten severe tinnitus at that point. My whole body was vibrating, so it was just this impossible onslaught. And what I sometimes managed to do was focus so much on breath that the symptoms would go to the background, so to say, and all my focus would be just on my breath. So on the way and trying to get there, I suddenly had a change in consciousness, and all my symptoms went way back. They didn't completely stop, but they were also not important anymore, because what was in the foreground was the only words I have is love, peace, a sense of magic. Every sense perception was so magical that the question, what's the meaning of life, what's the point of life, it would never arise in that state. And in that state, I received the message, this is going to continue until you do everything with love and devotion. So my mind immediately asked, is this the same source as 1 year prior? And the answer was yes. And then my mind asked, but that's not even in my hands, because to do everything with love and devotion would mean I'd have to be enlightened to pull that off. I mean, how on earth am I going to do that, right? And then the answer I got was, but what is in your hand is whether you make it the priority in your life. This state remained for a few hours, and then it gradually faded away. And it's a weird experience, because I think once you've tasted that, everything else in comparison is, I don't know, feels lifeless somehow. Because there's so much richness and so much connection and aliveness and love there, and peace. So the reason why I'm mentioning this is the question, is it all on me? Is it really all on me? Or is there something else in this universe? And again, I don't know. But as per my experience, there is more than we can see with our eyes, and more than what we can perceive with our physical senses. I'm very positive about that. How to deal with the question of guilt and responsibility regarding a disease, that is a tough question, because one thing is how I deal with it for myself, but it is also in between people. And so I'm kind of getting back to what I started with, because whoever perceives another person being sick and blaming that person for his illness immediately creates a hierarchy, and I just don't think that's helpful. Maybe I'm speaking prematurely on this topic, because as you can see, I'm not 100% clear on what I'm even saying here. But this, for me, as I said, this is as I go. I just kind of like blindfolded, in the dark. And as I go, it feels like 1 meter ahead of me is slowly getting illuminated. And I just don't believe in having it all perfect and then daring to start. I don't think that has never worked for me. This is what I have today.